This whale did the impossible. It attacked a ship and sank it. Sailors had hunted sperm whales for years, but on that day one sperm whale struck first. The ship was called Essex, and this real story later helped create the legend of Moby Dick. In the early 19th century, whaling was a huge industry. Whale oil was used for light, lubrication, and production, so ships went into the ocean for years at a time. Essex was a whaling ship from Nantucket. It was not a giant warship. It was a working vessel. There were 20 men on board. The captain was a young man named George Pollard. For the crew, this was a dangerous but familiar world. They searched for whales, lowered small boats into the water, and moved close to the animals. But no one expected the whale itself to come for the ship. On the 20th of November, 1820, Essex was far out in the Pacific Ocean. The nearest land was hundreds of miles away, and by some accounts more than 1,000 nautical miles away. The crew spotted sperm whales. For whalers, this was an opportunity. The boats were lowered. Some of the men went after the whales. First Mate Owen Chase stayed on the ship to repair a damaged boat, and then, near the ship, a huge sperm whale appeared. It acted strangely. It did not leave. It turned toward the ship and struck. The first hit shook the ship. The men on board did not immediately understand what had happened. The whale moved away. Then it came at Essex again. This time, the impact was stronger. The wooden hull could not survive it. The ship began taking on water. For the sailors, it was almost impossible to believe. They were used to seeing themselves as hunters. But now a huge whale had done to their ship what humans usually did to whales. It had stopped it. The crew managed to take some food, water, and equipment from the ship. Then Essex sank. 20 men were left in small whaleboats in the middle of the ocean. What followed was a brutal survival journey. They drifted across the Pacific for weeks. Not everyone survived. In the end, only 8 men were rescued. But the story did not disappear. Owen Chase later wrote an account of what happened. And years later, the story reached Herman Melville. A real sperm whale that sank a real ship became part of the shadow behind Moby Dick. The story of Essex is not frightening because the whale was a monster. It was not a monster. It was an animal meeting humans in an ocean where humans had spent too long thinking they were in control. On that day, everything reversed. The ship was hunting whales, but one whale struck first, and the sea reminded people of something simple. Sometimes nature does not run. Sometimes it answers.